the waters of Babylon. We lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. Now, I think some of you know that song, so please join with me. By the waters of Babylon, we lay down and wept for thee, Zion. We remember thee, Zion. For thousands of years, human beings just like me and you have put down their lyres, have laid down their weary tune on the side of a river, on a beach, on a desk, maybe in a car with a sob and a scream and the windows wound up, just really frustrated right at the very edge. I know that's happened to me. I guess it's happened to you. That song just sung is a story about being enslaved, lamenting being in a land not your own, weeping and wailing and missing home. It's been my experience, and perhaps yours too, that you've found yourself feeling enslaved by your work. Perhaps the place looked no longer familiar to you. You just really felt that you had to stop. You said, I'm done, I'm spent, I've had enough, I quit, I resign. Has anyone else here ever resigned from a job? Hands up if you've resigned from a job. Very good. I didn't think I was alone. Now, I have actually resigned with a really well-thought succession plan in place, but that's been the exception rather than the rule. I resigned when I thought all I had left was to withdraw my labour. I've thrown in the towel when I thought that my skills and expertise were no longer the right fit. I've resigned when my values and ethics just didn't align anymore with who I was working for. And I have resigned and come to that point where I've been completely burnt out and just had nothing left to give. And when you come to that point, you know, it's never easy getting to that realisation that resignation is the next step. So I found myself completely intrigued by the fact when I heard the news that Pope Benedict had resigned, or B16 as I like to call him at home. You know, he was the first pope in 700 years to resign. I mean, that's a pretty big gig to give up. But how, you know, I just couldn't get the fact that I was sort of feeling in solidarity with him. I mean, what did I have in common with him? Here I am, you know, left-leaning woman, Adelaide feminist here in Australia, and he's sort of the right-leaning German patriarch in Rome, but I did feel very connected to him. I really felt there was something drawing us together, because I'd just resigned from my job and now he was resigning from his. And it just made me wonder, perhaps it was our common humanity. You know, maybe he'd resigned for some of the same reasons as me. Maybe he'd had enough. Maybe he wanted to resign because he knew what was coming next. Perhaps he was actually giving a gift for the future, promising a better future by getting out of the way and leaving. But whatever his reasons were, he resigned from his job. And he resigned actually from his vocation. You know, and vocation by definition is a calling too. While resignation is a call away from that that's been defining you. And it just got me thinking. I thought, well, maybe resignation's a call too. Maybe it's a call to be true to your most authentic self. You know, and in that call, you know, it's a really, really deep call. It's a call to go beyond that frustration, a call to take you beyond the stop. And whatever resignation is, when you've done the weaving and the wafting and the whatever, resigning sends you home. Like it sends you home to yourself to discover who you are and explore maybe where you're meant to be. Now, resigning from a job's not the only kind of resignation. What about the resignation that happens when you hear bad news? You know, what lessons might lie there? Well, several years ago, I heard some bad news. I heard that my husband had an illness, which the doctors like to describe as an incurable, life-limiting illness. They said, look, go home, get your affairs in order. You'll see this Christmas, with a bit of luck, you'll see the next. And fortunately, we've had 4 Christmases since then, and defying the odds, and I hope we get to see a lot more. But I resigned myself to the diagnosis, to the prognosis that he just wasn't going to get better, and that with every breath, a little piece of him was going to disappear. And I've got to tell you, this is the kind of news that really does take you to the edge. And the questions came from people around me. I mean, they weren't sharing my resignation. They were saying things like, you know, can we pray for you? Can we donate an organ? Can we fundraise for more research? And I just did not appreciate this level of interest, and I was very angry, and I almost felt that people were appropriating him in some way. He's not a commodity. His illness not some kind of currency to trade in, to demonstrate an affinity with him, or somehow credential you as a sojourner. He's the person I'm living my life with. And you know, when I made that sacred vow, actually more than 35 years ago now, in sickness and in health, until death do us part, I didn't know I was going to be living or exploring in this space. I didn't know that. But I did. I heard this news. I stopped. I resigned, and I resigned myself to our future. And in that space, I can tell you, I have explored the entire kaleidoscope of emotions, every single colour and hue. And I know that in this space, that resignation is taking me somewhere else. And I want to talk a little about that. Now, I know, because we've all heard today, that some of you do extreme sports. Well, I'm an extreme pilgrim, and my pilgrimage is taking me on a journey where I'm exploring, I'm travelling, traversing all through a whole range of emotional and spiritual landscapes. And it's taking me to a place where I'm discovering that I'm actually not resigning, that I'm somehow developing a talent or a capacity almost to be living in resignation. And it's not the kind of resignation where, you know, I'm on a journey and I want to leave life or leave a job or, you know, start to grieve for someone not yet gone, but I am re-signing. I have re-signed to life, not a resignation or resign, but a re-sign. I have re-signed to life. That's what I've learned. Some of you will know the author Graham Greene, and he says that what we are all resigned to is death, but we aren't resigned to life. Well, I'm re-signing. I've signed up again to life. And so perhaps when you too find yourself, you know, needing to lay down your weary tune, maybe feeling enslaved by your work, or having heard some bad news, or perhaps seem to be a long way from your home self, think back to these lessons. Stop. Resign, take yourself to the edge, recognise you are at the edge, and from that edge, re-sign, because no, you're not leaving, you are not leaving, you are arriving, and you're about to go on an exploration of an uncharted part of yourself. Thank you.